3,000 people just sold out an entire cruise ship in record time, and a cruise line had to tell a guest, seriously, dude, you can't do that here. And the future of cruising might not use fuel at all. So stick around. This one's got a little bit of everything. It's got future high tech, it's got pure cruise ridiculousness, and it's got some fans who are stepping up their game. Let's dive in, shall we? This is the show you come to when you want to stay updated with what's going on in the cruise world. Some of it matters, some of it doesn't, but we're going to have fun with it either way. First up, Meyer Werft. I hope I'm saying that right. Werft, I don't know. Werft, maybe? Just unveiled Project Vision. That is its vision and project for a 100% battery-powered cruise ship, an 82,000 gross ton cruise ship to be exact, that can hold up to 1,856 passengers. They're doing this saying that they can make cruise ships run greener. One of the biggest criticisms of the cruise industry and cruise ships themselves is that they put out a lot of emissions into the system, and they would like for it to be a little bit cleaner. I think maybe this is the cruise line's way of saying, hey, we're working on it, okay? Give us time, we'll get there. Look, I don't know about you guys, but I just recently jumped into a Tesla that drove itself, and it's a battery-powered vehicle. One of my good friends just test drove one and said, hey, you want to go along for the test drive? I said, sure. But hey, this thing drove itself, and it was 100% battery-powered. Now, I was very late and skeptical to the game on the battery-powered vehicles, and still kind of I don't have one, but still kind of like, oh, this seems cool. How they work. You know, I'm kind of waiting to get that test out of the way. I'm kind of thinking this about a cruise ship too. Once this cruise ship goes out to sea, I don't know if I'm going to be the first one jumping on that sucker, but it does intrigue me. And yes, I think I may give it a shot. How about you? Would you jump on a 100% fully battery operated cruise ship? Meyer Werft promises that this could cut up to 95% of greenhouse gases that is emitted by cruise ships. And they say that if someone says, hey, I'll buy it, they could have this ship ready in 5 years. 2031, they could get this ship out on the water is what they're telling us. One of the perks to this would be you wouldn't have the stacks that come up in the middle of the ship, so it would give more deck space. So that would mean more sunshine, more places that you could have pools, and you could have chairs, and people could be out enjoying the sun while they're out cruising through the ocean. So look, this kind of is a big deal. It would be a first of its kind. And you know, your next cruise might not be riding on a ship that's operated by a Duracell battery, but hey, who knows, in the future, it could be. Our next story talks about how 3,000 passengers sold out a cruise ship in record time. That's right, 3,000 Trekkies, Star Trek fans, sold out a Royal Caribbean ship for a February 20th through 2027 sailing. Now, I don't know about you, but I am not a huge Trekkie. I do think they're fun to watch. I enjoy watching them sometimes when they're on. It kind of brings back a little nostalgia for me because my step-grandfather, when I was a young man and a boy, would go over to my grandmother's house, and my step-grandfather would have on Star Trek, Gunsmoke, or football. And at that point, I would plop right down and sit there and watch it with him. But he was a huge Trek fan. He loved the old Star Trek. He really enjoyed that. I've kind of piddled around and liked some of the new Star Trek movies. I think they've been pretty decent, but I'm not that huge of a fan to where I would stand in line and purchase a ticket to go on a cruise. But there's so many people out there who are. And one of the things about this that it says about the cruise industry is that there are so many people out there who are fans of other things that the cruise industry can now put these things together on a cruise ship, and people will buy it. And they'll buy it fast. I don't disagree that this is a good thing. I think it is a good thing for the cruise world. I know there are many types of cruises out there. I'm a Gen Xer. I know there's been Gen X cruises. I know that there's bands that come and go and they play on these cruises, and people come around, and they do that not just to go on a cruise and to see whatever it is that they're going to see. They want to be able to interact. They want to be able to do events. And this Star Trek cruise will do just that. They're going to have a lot of the stars who made the series and the movies great are going to be on the ship. And they're going to do things like meet and greets. They're going to do panels. They're going to do theme nights. They're going to do cosplay. They're going to do trivia and all the things that a Star Trek Trekkie would want in a cruise will be on this cruise ship. Now, look, I know if you're a Trekkie and you said, well, David is sold out, I can't get on it, but I will say this, the wait list is open. So if you're feeling lucky, you may jump on the wait list and just see, hey, can I get in on this? All right, one more story that could be equal parts ridiculous and equal parts, I think they're serious. A Carnival guest asked Carnival brand ambassador John Held, hey, can my husband fish off of our cove balcony? John's response was quick. No, that is forbidden. Please don't do that. They'll hold your fishing gear and they'll let you have it when you get off the ports. But that's it. You can't fish off the balcony. You do it and you try, you're going to be looking at fines and you're probably going to be looking at a lifetime ban. They take this very serious. There's no fishing off of a cruise ship. Now, before we start saying, hey, this was ridiculous, why would they even ask? Well, some people who've never been on a cruise before may not understand the rules. And they may not understand that, hey, how large the ships are and all of the rules that come along with it. I will say this, my father-in-law is a fisherman. He loves to fish. He thinks about fishing all the time. He is an outdoorsman. He loves hunting and fishing. Even as he's gotten older, he can't go as much as he wants to, but he still loves it. So his brain thinks fishing and hunting a lot, just like my brain thinks cruising a lot. So when I tell you this, we went on a cruise last year, took him on his very first cruise. Now, he was in the Navy, but he hadn't been on a ship in over 50 years. Lots has changed on the ocean since he'd been on a ship. He asked the question, and he was serious. Can you fish off the cruise ship? I didn't take that out of the way at all. I didn't think it was ridiculous. I didn't think he was stupid. I didn't think anything like that. I thought he's asking a serious question because he doesn't know. He hasn't ever been on a cruise ship. He has no idea about the ramifications of this. So I had to tell him, no, you can't do that. And there are many reasons why. One is sanitation. One is safety. We don't want to be hooking people on a lower balcony. So we can't do that. He understood. He was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I understand. But in his defense, and in this person's defense, fishing can be a cultural thing too, because I live in the South. By the time I was old enough to walk and talk, I had a fishing pole in my hand. Some of the best memories I've ever had in my life have been with my father out fishing on a john boat. We're out in nature, catching fish, and just having a good time together. So I don't take this thing as ridiculous as some people do, because some people do not know all the rules and regulations that come along with cruising. So for those of you out there who think this was the dumbest thing ever, they should never ask that question. My son told me many years ago, I asked him, son, why do you ask so many questions? And he told me, Dad, how am I supposed to learn if I don't ask questions? This person asked a question. They got an answer. They were okay with the answer. I'll say this to you out there who are thinking, well, I might try it. No, don't try it. Don't do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. You will be caught, and you will maybe end up in the brig on the ship. And nobody wants to go to the brig, do you? Nobody wants to spend their time on their cruise ship in the brig. Here's what I will say. Book an excursion. When you pull up to port, have an excursion booked where you can go out and go fishing. And I know that some of them out there can be super expensive. Some of them can be inexpensive, but take a look around. Look on sites like Viator. I'll have my link below. If you want to look on Viator, you can check that out. Look on sites that the cruise lines offer and see if they have any sort of fishing excursions. A lot of cruises that I've been on, I've been able to find a place here or there that you can go fishing if you want. You can charter a boat for most of the day. You can do different things like that. So if that's your thing, if you want to go fishing, just don't do it off the cruise ship. Do it on the excursion. Guys, that's this week's edition of the Cruise Brief. Some of the stuff I told you matters, some of it doesn't, but I hope you had fun either way. And if you enjoyed the show, do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button so you'll know whenever I put out another cruise brief. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and leave a comment. Have you ever thought about fishing off a cruise ship?